Number 10. EF: A Tale of Memories. This anime actually consists of 3 different stories with a subtle 4th side story. The first story is sort of your typical love triangle, but I found it to be better than most love triangle stories out there. This was probably a combination of flawed but good characters and fantastic animation. The second story involves a girl with a serious memory loss condition and a boy who cannot help but get himself involved with her, whether for better or for worse. The third story was about the character Kyosuke, who was bored with his life and looking for something or someone to inspire him. Some parts in EF are predictable, however, the way things unfold always keeps the viewer interested. Cramming 3 stories into 12 episodes, when 2 of the stories could be an entire series on their own, would seemingly be tricky, but the creators of EF pulled it off pretty well. And they do an excellent job in balancing the 3 stories and 6 main characters, even though it's only 12 episodes. The character's time on screen is maximized for constant development. You will be hard-pressed to find any useless, unnecessary filler scenes in this series, while I have to admit I look forward to the Renchi Chihiro story more than the others. Number 9. Mawaru Penguindrum. This looks like an easygoing anime at first glance due to the bright artwork that resembles a picture book, but it's only a cover-up for the deep and complex plot. The anime has a likable cast, they each have their own motives and act a major part in this story, unlike some other series which have a bazillion characters who become decorations for the following episodes after the roles are over. The plot is quite messed up, a lot of flashbacks that sometimes make you confused, but this anime is deep, imaginative, and revolves around something we call fate. It's a beautiful story about siblings' love and the punishment they pay for their parents' sins. It's also a bit philosophical, makes you think about your life and your truth. It also presents us with a few plot twists, which makes things interesting. So overall, I really enjoyed this. Some unexplained scenes, sudden flashbacks and pacing problems, which were unsatisfying, but despite that, it's definitely something that should be watched. Number 8. Akagi. Akagi Shigeru, a mature-looking 13-year-old, has just escaped from a game of chicken on a rainy night while being tailed by the cops. He busts into a room where 4 guys, including some from the Yakuza, are in the middle of a game of mahjong. Nyanga, who is losing quite a large sum of money, lets Akagi take his place, and thus the mahjong legend begins. So as you might have guessed, this is an anime about gambling and mahjong that takes some serious guts and insanity to win. Another brilliant series by Fukumoto about gambling, winning, high stakes, and life and death situation. For viewers who have no knowledge about mahjong, it is totally acceptable because Fukumoto makes sure that all things are explained. This is where the dialogue becomes very important. It might be lengthy at times, but I advise that you don't skip it. Despite the lack of physical action in this anime, Fukumoto uses metaphors to add entertainment as well as explain the situation. The animation is fluid, but the artwork might be a bit bizarre for the first time. The character designs are very blocky. Fukumoto is known for drawing this way, and personally, I don't find it distracting. I actually appreciate the unique style. Number 7. Planetus. This anime is set in space and the people are Deborah's haulers. They're cleaning up space after a highly publicized accident where Deborah's hit a spaceship and killed 11 people. This is not a giant accident or a common occurrence, and they admit that, which makes it feel sort of authentic. I mean, in other shows, they seem to take these giant, rare, controversial events and make them seem like daily happenings. Not Planetes. Planetes doesn't need the lone hero, it has a whole bunch of them. The viewer starts just as clueless to the future development as the characters, and the further the series goes on, the more connections and relationships are revealed. The best part about this show, for me anyway, is undeniably Tanabe and Hachimagi's relationship. Tanabe is always spouting nonsense about how love will save the day, and Hachimagi is just rude and confused. Not everyone on the show is funny, like they don't crack jokes or do stupid things, but because of the few who are funny, everyone gets caught up in the comedy. They also deal with very real problems for space. They work with NASA and the Japanese version of NASA to understand things like radiation sickness, going stir crazy, growing up and living in low gravity, etc. But also the physics of space. I seriously suggest this to anyone. There's some action and some savvy parts, but it's always counterbalanced by a good laugh without anyone being too crazy. Number 6. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0. Most people I know found this anime not too long after the huge earthquake in Japan, and I'm sure what happened there was much worse than what's portrayed in this work. However, the connection was there, the heartstrings were pulled, and I got emotionally involved almost instantly. I have watched my fair share of emotional anime, from the quietly touching Love and Complex, over Shinkai Makoto's movies that simply come with their own atmosphere. Over the melancholically darkful hopeful Wolf's Rain, to the despairing dystopian heartbreaking yet philosophical Texno Lies, over Ghibli's famous tearjerker Grave of the Fireflies, to Planet After Story, and Anohana, which nearly had me short-circuiting my computer with tears, and a couple of more that would stretch the list to too long. Tokyo Magnitude 8.0 in this sense displays a strong message, that life is short and we should cherish who and what we have. Number 5. Kurenai. Shinkuro is a mediator, someone who settles disputes however they need to be settled. He's hired to be the bodyguard of a little girl who has run away from a rich and powerful yet very abusive family. Kurenai is the type of show I would describe as being progressive, meaning that you cannot really appreciate how good it is until you've watched it till the end. Although the first 9 episodes were focused mainly on the drama slice of life aspect, there was evident plot progress, and the viewer will inevitably notice the underlying dark mood of the said plot. Now, the slice of life drama part is without a doubt the main focus of the series, and undeniably it is the charm of Kurenai. Though, of course, the story centers itself mainly on Kouin Murasaki rather than Kurenai Shinkuro. This series is pretty unique, with a nice blend of lax and serious plot. Kurenai had great dialogue and compelling characters to support. The personality of Murasaki was very well fleshed out by the production team. She can be a bit of a brat sometimes, but she learns a lot and she's very cute. Number 4. Rainbow Nisha Rokubo no Shichinen. That was probably pronounced wrong, but whatever. Let's move on. Yes. The warning about this series being explicit is no joke. The story follows the lives of 7 teenage boys who went on the wrong side of the law and were sent to a school-like jail. The time period takes place after World War II. The creators really went down and dirty with the details to make the anime they wanted. What I mean is that there are some disturbing scenes that do appear even if they are for a split second. It might literally be burned onto your retinas. It's not like a shower scene in prison, but it comes close. It shows the dark side of adults and how they're just straight off perverts. This anime has quality of a great story, the bad guys, the good guys, the bad moments, the awful moments, and the good and hopeful moments. I think it's hard to become indifferent to this story. It moves hearts and spirit of most people.
やられたんだろ。やり返せ。こんな奴は殺したっていいんだ。やれよ。おい、やれってんだよ。やれ。おい、お前やるんだ。
Number 3, Bakuman. Created by the same person who wrote Death Note and the one who drew the story for it, this series doesn't fall behind in terms of capturing our attention despite the simple premise of two aspiring teenage boys trying to make it big as a mangaka. There are a number of direct references to anime and instances where they straight up talk about certain anime, not only Death Note but other anime such as Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto and so on. So it's usually the shonen stuff, the big fishes. Regardless, it's just really funny and a bit strange to watch an anime about, well, manga and anime. I learned a lot from this anime. It was very educational in terms of the ins and outs of Shonen Jump. I mean, Shonen Jack. I'm not a consumer of Shonen Jack myself, but I didn't know that the issues are largely based on fan ratings. It gave me some great insight about how the industry works, both as a mangaka and seiyu. Also, I really got to know how much pressure and how much effort one must experience to meet the deadlines. Obviously, I can relate to this on a certain level, but I'm surprised mangaka don't face writer's block all the time.
よし、行くぞ。なあ、俺たちコソコソしてて恥ずかしくね？楽しいじゃん。俺今デスノートのジェバンニな気分。
2. Rurouni Kenshin Reminiscence. This is a prequel to the Rurouni Kenshin series. It consists of 4 OVAs with a length of about 30 minutes, so it's not that long. The OVAs takes a look back on Kenshin's past. This is the story of how Kenshin came to be and what made him the way he is. If you're expecting the OVA to be similar to the TV series, you couldn't be more wrong. The mood in the OVA is much darker, solemn, and heart-wrenching. The OVAs pack an emotional powerhouse, the graphics are smooth, fluid, and detailed, and the music fits into the story in haunting perfection. Many of the feelings and thoughts you experience throughout the show are caught from the symbolic actions and metaphoric abstracts. Like the tasting of sake, Kenshin spinning his toy, and the subtle gentleness both Tomoe and Kenshin show each other. And none of it seems forced or awkward. The beauty of Reminiscence is its ability to invoke powerful feelings with its subtlety, making the rewatch value of the OVAs extremely high. The pace of this anime is also very well done, from the fascinating, brutal start to the peaceful, quiet development of Kenshin and Tomoe's relationship to the climatic finale. Every part of this OVA keeps you enthralled. But don't watch this if you are sensitive to gore and violence, and even if you didn't like the original TV series. For whatever reason, this is another league according to me, and I think it deserves a chance. In my opinion, Reminiscence is an anime masterpiece.
死ねない。死にたくない。諦めろ。そうはいかん。死ねない。今死ぬわけにはいかない。死にたくない。死んでたまるか。死なん絶対に。うわーまた死にたくない。
Number 1. Gungrave. Gungrave is a show that shows us how revenge is a double-edged sword with its great storyline of power and deceit. It's an interesting mix of inspirations from the creator of Trigun. It's half Berserk, half Vampire D, with just a hint of Cowboy Bebop's interpretation on a futuristic Yakuza. All of these inspirations come together to help create a show that can easily stand among their ranks. Admittedly, the first episode is weird and unnecessary as it neither engages the viewer but spoils the show and gives no good feel of what to expect in the immediate episodes that follow. Beyond that episode, after some further episodes, I was soon drawn into the compelling tale of how Brandon and Harry climbed the ranks of mafiahood. This was a brave production in that it took a concept from a video game and made it into a very entertaining series. You will be rewarded with a good story that tells of life in a slum, steadfast friendships, chased love, loyalty and betrayal, the ways of the underworld, and corruption of the human heart in the struggle for power. A first half of the series, including the ending, is a masterpiece in my book. The introduction of Augment and Necrolization disturbed the story greatly because they had the writing, they had the story, the realism, and yet they proceed to throw in these unappealing monsters, taking away the charm of the show. And that's my only real complaint really, because it is a very captivating and touching story. If you do choose to watch this show, then I would say do yourself a favor and skip the first episode, because it just spoils the show and it's unnecessary. I recently rewatched this in HD and it was amazing. So if you can, try to find an HD version and you're set for one of the best heartbreaking gangster animes you'll ever see.
お前がやった男がベア王権の客人だ。
ベアおじさんのそんな。でも俺は知らなくて。
知ってようが知るまいがお前がやったことに変わりはねえんだ。お前は組織の顔に泥を塗りつけたんだよ。
助けてくれよ、親父。親父なあ、助けてくれよ、親父。
バカ野郎な。組織だ、ファミリーだ、鉄の掟だなんて抜かしておいて、とんでもねえバカでグズな息子の方を取っちまったんだからな。そいつを持ってこの町を出ろ。
親父、
二度と戻ってくるな。次組織の者に会ったらお前は確実に死ぬ。俺に会ってもだ。組織のために俺がお前を殺す。
親父。
いいから行け、今すぐにだ。
親父、
早くしろ。殺しの犯人は逃げましたじゃ。客人に対して示しがつかない。俺の島の人間が起こした不始末は俺の責任だ。この筋だけは通さねえと俺は親父ですら亡くなっちまう。面倒をかけるな。まったくだ。